No, can I just explain something here? It's not that we're not picking the right men.
You sure?
We're picking men, but they're not who they said they are. You set boundaries not by talking, by doing.
100%.
Because there's no point me sitting here telling you, oh, if you're rude to me right now, I'm going to walk out. But then you're rude to me and I go,
I told you I was going to walk out.
I will walk out. Like, just walk out.
Yo, guys, welcome back to another episode on my channel. I'm sitting in this spot, which means I've got a great conversation lined up for you today. You know, on this channel, we like to talk about all things dating and relationships and seeing what we can do to attract the kind of person we want. So without further ado, please welcome back Sukaina. Come on. Hello, stranger. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me back. I feel like I just keep coming back here.
You keep coming back, and it's really funny because anybody who's watched the previous episodes with you, they're seeing this arc of your journey.
Yeah.
And so every time you come back, it's like, okay, what's she got for us today?
Yeah,
Where is she
what
at?
have you been up to?
What's going on? So you know, I like to jump in. So please tell us your age or age range and one thing a guy should know about you if he wants to take you on a date.
Oh, good question. So I am 29. Do I look at the camera? I can't remember.
Yeah, you got it.
I'm 29 years old, and one thing a guy should know about me.
If he's going to take you on a date.
Just be yourself. You know, don't feel like you need to put on an act with me. Because I feel like sometimes I can intimidate guys, you know.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm actually such a down-to-earth person. Like, just be yourself. Just be relaxed.
Okay.
Because I want to see the real you.
Yes.
I don't want to see you with the mask. Like, I want to see the real you. Be authentic.
Yes, 100%. What do you think it's about you that would intimidate a guy if he is intimidated by you?
Do you know what? I feel like it's just maybe what I do. And also just kind of... I've been told that I'm very kind of not strict, but I'm quite like I'm like quite reserved, like, and I'm very sort of like direct and straight to the point.
I think, and I'm saying this because
like I know what I want.
That's exactly what I was
I have high
saying.
standards.
I think you clearly express what it is that you want.
Yeah.
And I think maybe if a guy doesn't know you and if you're saying that very directly, it can come across like, oh, okay. But then do you not think it's great to express what you want, but do you not think that a guy should always be himself? But if you say, okay, this is what I'm looking for, essentially you are kind of mapping out to him. You're kind of like, well, if you want me, this is what it takes, right?
Yeah.
And so if he wants you, he's going to do that. Does that make sense?
Yes. And actually, that's something that I've been learning recently, that like if you do tell a guy what you want, he will literally be that person for however many months.
I mean, yeah, 100%.
So
Go on.
I want to ask, why do you guys do that? Like, why do you kind of try to be something that you're not in the beginning?
I hear that. So I think I want to differentiate between trying to be something that you're not and then trying to make an effort in the areas that you know that she would value.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So for example, let's say you have a guy who's like, he's more on the kind of guy to go for walks in the forest, to go climbing and stuff. But you say you like going out to nice places and that's just what you like, which we know you like.
Yeah.
Right? If he's like, okay, well, I really like Sukaina, I like her vibe and her energy. If I know this is something that she would appreciate, then I'm going to make an effort in this area because I know she values it.
Right.
Even though maybe that's not what he would choose if he didn't know that.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Right.
So I think it's important to differentiate between being someone that you're not and just making an effort in the ways that he thinks you're going to be like, become more affectionate towards him.
Yes.
I think, especially if you tell him what you want or what you look for, if we see guys as the hunters, it's like the prey saying, this is how you catch me. And if he wants to catch the prey, why? He's just going to do it. It's like, okay, if how you catch me is I'm going to be here at this time. This is the kind of trail that I'll go after. Well, you're just giving him the roadmap to catch the prey, essentially. Does that make sense?
Yeah. But then here's the thing, right? So this is my problem with this, is that we kind of hear all the time, you know, especially men saying this, especially in the kind of podcast world, we hear this all the time.
Yes.
Women need to pick better men.
Yes.
Women are not picking the right men. No, can I just explain something here? It's not that we're not picking the right men.
You sure?
We're picking men, but they're not who they said they are.
Well, okay.
They're pretending to be completely different people.
But that just means you're really bad at seeing who they are.
But some guys are very good at manipulating women.
They are, but let me ask you this. Who do you think is better at manipulation, especially emotionally, men or women?
Women emotionally, definitely. Yeah. But I feel like with guys, they do tell you what you want to hear.
That is true.
And how do we sort of figure out if he's lying or not?
Because his actions will show. So if a guy's like, yeah, I'm taking you seriously, but the only time you can spend with him is for Netflix and chill, but you're going to believe that he's saying that I'm taking you seriously.
Right.
You're being naive in that fact. And it's like, okay, you don't know how to recognize real intention and real investment. Now, don't get me wrong. I know guys can put up an act in the beginning a lot of the time until they get sex and you start being intimate, and then, they start to, if they're not taking it seriously, that's when they take their foot off the gas. But because women have the power in the beginning, because generally the guy pursues, with the power comes a lot of responsibility. And so as a woman, you have to be so on it in knowing how to vet whether a guy is giving you that right intention.
Right.
More so than men. Actually, well, men do as well, but I'd say men, really. I mean, I guess a woman would manipulate you for your time and your money and stuff. Or she could trap you with a baby, God forbid. And which happens. But yeah, I think you have to be, it is true though. Like, I think a lot of, when we see women complaining about guys, when we guys see the guy that the woman's complaining about, we don't even have to talk to the guy. It's like, well, of course he did that. I could have told you that. Yeah, like you guys know
straight away.
It's like, I could have told you that. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And most guys are like, yeah, I could have told you that he was going to do this, that he operates like this is how he moves. Do you know what I mean? But then, if I'm being honest, and tell me what you think, I think for many women, they already know that, but they want him to change for her. And when they complain, it's because he didn't change for her.
Ah, interesting.
Because women will know, because some girls will know that a guy's a bit of a bad boy, but they'll still want him. And they'll still go there.
That's true.
And then it's like, when he doesn't change, it's like, oh, why doesn't he? Blah, blah, blah. And then as a guy, we're like, well, this is what he did with Sarah, with Jessica, with Lucy, with Megan. And why did you assume it was going to be different with you? Yeah.
Well, it's that classic case of, he's going to be different with me. I'm going to be the one. I'm going to be the one to change him. Yeah. I do think that is a very, really kind of damaging thing that women have. And you kind of end up sabotaging your chances of happiness really with that, because why are you picking the guy that you can clearly see the red flags with?
Yeah. There's this phrase where they say, women want the bad boy to be good for them.
Yeah.
And men want the good girl to be bad with them. As in bad, as in doing all the sexual freaky stuff that the bad girl would do with other guys and stuff like that. I don't think, it's not that men can't change, but I don't think women should think they can make him change, because you can't.
Yeah. And I think
he'll only change by himself.
I also feel like we're living in this sort of day and age now of like, who cares less is the one that has the most power.
Facts.
Even, speaking to my little brother, he's 17 years old, he's Gen Z, even speaking to him, some of the conversations that we have about dating, things like that, it's all about power play.
Yes.
It's all about who's got the upper hand.
Yes.
Who's texting less, who's the one that takes long to respond.
Yep.
So I guess the reason why women fall for the bad guy is because the bad guy is providing that up and down, that kind of roller coaster of emotions.
Or, I agree, that roller coaster, which gives a sense of the highs and the lows.
Yeah, it's like a thrill. And then when you get it, you're like, oh, we're finally in a good place now. Then he takes it back.
Yes.
And then you're like, oh, here we go again.
Yes. Is there an element of part of the reason why they like the bad boy is because he does have the power, and so if he validates her, that gives her some power, status, recognition as well.
Yes.
Because she's not going to choose, well, a lot of the time, Girls don't choose the guy who's already like, hey, I want to give you everything.
Yeah.
Because she's like, oh, I've got nothing to gain here. I'm already at the top in this dynamic. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Is that element?
Yeah, there is that element. And there's an element of women are very naturally nurturing. So I guess you could say that we kind of naturally have that, oh, I want to fix him in us. And I think a lot of women right now are working really hard to kind of not be that way.
Yeah.
Like we have this empathy. As women, we always see the good in someone, and we're trying so hard now to tap out of that and just see someone for face value. Like he is not a great person.
Yeah, I get that. I honestly, I think that quality is actually a really good thing. I just think it's being directed towards the wrong people.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want to, I think we want to be careful not to make sure just because we gave the wrong person the right treatment doesn't mean then we should give the right person the wrong treatment.
100%.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So in terms of this power dynamic, and I'm just kind of playing devil's advocate here, do you think a relationship works better when the man has more of the power in the dynamic or when the woman does?
Oh, that's a difficult one. I do feel like it works better when the man has the power, definitely.
I feel like a year ago you would not have said that.
I know.
Why do you say that? Why do you say it now?
I just think because being in a relationship with someone who didn't have that power or didn't show that they were, I don't know what the word is, like able to kind of lead and take on those responsibilities. The woman then goes into her masculine energy. Unfortunately, we're forced to go into our masculine energy. And so I've experienced that in the past. I have, because the person I felt like was not leading me, was not being, did not have the masculine traits that I want, unfortunately. Things like having very strong boundaries in place, things like that were lacking.
When you say strong boundaries, do you mean, was it that he was saying yes to everything for you? Was he doing everything that you said? Yes,
and other people.
Right.
So other people around them would have a lot of say in what they do, or you know. And the crazy thing is, like, that person wouldn't see that they don't have strong boundaries.
Right.
So they have no self-awareness.
Right.
They just think they're just like a nice person, and you know, these people care about me, these people are my friends. So that is not attractive to a woman.
Yeah.
Because especially if you're seeing someone get manipulated or walked all over or taken advantage of, to me, like a man just stands his ground, like not just with me, around other people as well. He's respected.
Yes.
You know, people know that they can't mess around with him. Like they can't walk all over him. And I think that is very important, that a man sets those strong boundaries. And if he doesn't, unfortunately, the woman then steps into her masculine and has to start leading and has to start driving the ship, essentially.
Yeah, because essentially, as the woman, you feel, well, if you can't stand up for yourself, how can I trust you to stand up for me? And then how can I trust you to stand up for our children, etc., and our family?
Yeah.
On that, actually, because I did actually want to ask you something. So I hope you don't mind me saying, but, you know, since you were last on, you've become single. You were in a relationship and you've become single. What's it been like back on these streets for you?
I love that. Back on the streets.
Back on these streets.
Do you know what? I am really enjoying getting to know myself at the moment.
Nice, yeah.
It's been nice to kind of take this time out to really work on myself. Like, I'm really big on self-improvement. That's kind of what I've been doing, just sort of throwing myself into my career and my work and lots of projects.
Yeah.
And also spending time like with the people that perhaps I didn't have time to spend with, you know, when I was in a relationship. So like with friends, with my family, I'm spending a lot more time with my family, building that family unit.
Yeah.
So it's like I have time to do other things now.
Yes.
But I've been doing a lot of self-reflection, and of course I'm on this healing journey, and anyone who is on a healing journey knows it is not linear. Like,
Sure.
you know, we're up, we're down,
100%.
we fall down, we get back up. Some days you feel like you're not going anywhere. But I'm really committed to being the best version of myself, especially this year. Like, I've really been speaking to experts, like doing a lot of research, looking into things like, you know, childhood trauma and things like that.
Yeah.
Because I really want to be a better person. So then when I do find someone, I'm ready.
Yeah.
Like, emotionally, I'm ready, and mentally, I'm ready.
Yeah, 100%. If you don't mind me asking, like, did you end things or did he end things?
I ended things, yeah.
And you don't have to share anything you don't want to, but what was it for you that made you decide, okay, we've come to the end of the road now, end of this season?
I think for me, I just, you know, there were a few things that happened that made me realize, okay, you're not really my person. And it was more so with who they are as a person, rather than what they did to me. Right. It was more who you are as a person. Right. I'm not okay with that. Okay. And that's not in line with who I want to be with.
Did it feel, how long were you together for?
Just over 2 years.
2 years. So it's really relatively significant for sure.
Yeah. Oh, it was really serious. I mean, we were going to be engaged and everything. So, and I just pulled out last minute.
Did you, when you say this was the the person you're like, this, you're just not for me, which happens.
Yeah.
Right? What did it feel like he had changed who he was? Was it that he had been the same person and you kind of realized certain things for you that like this doesn't align with the future I want to have? Like, what was it?
Yeah, it was more so definitely the boundaries. That was like a massive thing for me.
Sure.
That was really lacking. There was like no boundaries.
Right. As in from other people for your relationship.
Yeah.
For him. Right. I see what you're
and
saying.
then it was things like just making a decision and then not really speaking to me or consoling me or even giving me a heads up during a time where we are supposed to be building a future and talking marriage and wedding and where we are going to live, like serious stuff.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, we got to the real stuff and now I'm noticing you behaving very strange.
Right. In a way you didn't
and
expect.
I was just like, no, I'm not prepared to deal with that. And this is not my person. And it's like, it's a gut feeling as well that, you know, something's not right for you. But, you know, like saying that, you know, he was a great person. You know, I have nothing but, you know, good things to say about him. And, you know, we had some wonderful memories together and, you know, he's got great qualities. It's just not my person.
Yeah.
But I'm sure someone else would really appreciate him.
Yeah.
For who he is. And maybe they like that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
so
no, I get that. And
it just wasn't for me.
That's fair.
Yeah.
On that then, what do you think about, because if you've been together for 2 years, you would have got to know his family.
Yeah.
Maybe built a relationship with like his parents or his siblings, you know. What do you think about exes maintaining a relationship with like a family member?
You know, I'm really cutthroat with this sort of stuff. I just think if you are out of my life...
You're dead to me. All of you. You're all dead to me.
You're dead. No, like, I just find that really weird. Like, if I broke up with you and then I come home and I see you sitting in the living room having tea with my mum, it is on it. Do you not find that bizarre?
Well, she just loves Sarah. Like, you know, your mum's great. Yeah, that'd be weird.
It's bizarre, right? It's I just think... And also... Here's my thought on this. I feel like it makes you less likely to move on
100%.
Because you have some sort of attachment still there and you haven't cut the cord.
I think especially because if you ended things, right? You initiated. So especially if the other person initiated it and you're still, and maybe you didn't want things to end and, you know, you're still connected.
Yeah, you're holding on to something.
No, it's true.
Definitely. And sometimes in some cases, they will use the parent or the sibling to kind of pull on your heartstrings or
what's going on,
keep tabs on you, you know. So I just think out of sight, out of mind. Yeah. Just cut the cord.
You are savage.
Yeah. It's
but I agree.
But we can't move on if we don't do that. Like it has to be block the number. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
That's how I am.
I completely agree. I agree.
No exes as friends as well.
I do agree.
No, I'm not. I'm standing my ground on this one.
I completely agree.
Unless you have children and you're co-parenting.
Yes. But I have a question.
Okay.
Because I know you're not a lesbian, but lesbians will stay close friends with their exes.
Right.
Gay guys, that's
Didn't
not
know that.
a thing, for sure.
Mm.
I know you're not a lesbian, but as a woman, why do you think that is? Because I completely agree with you, but that is not...
So, like, they dated and then they stay friends after they broke up.
Yeah, so like very... Obviously, every couple is different, but generally speaking, a lot of the time what we see, when it comes to gay couples, a lot of the time, with guys, they may be open physically. Right? But emotionally, they're just like, we're exclusive.
Right.
For lesbian couples, it's the opposite. Physically, it's like, it's just you and me. But emotionally, they'll still hang out with their ex-girlfriend, hang out with other girls and stuff emotionally. So it's like emotionally they're open, but physically they're closed. And gay guys, it's the opposite.
I didn't know that.
So obviously, if you're still staying friends with someone, it means you're still connecting emotionally. So I guess I'm just asking, like, why do you think that might be the case?
Well, the thing is, I feel like with girls, they're a little bit, there's more of a strong kind of, this sounds really weird because I know it's like, it's romantic.
Yeah.
But there is still this element of sisterhood. Like, women get each other.
Yes.
And we really like, we bond over that.
Right.
So even if it didn't work out, it's hard because I'm not a lesbian, but like the way that I see it is like, even if it didn't work out for us romantically, I still have love for you and I've still got your back, girl.
We're
like it's that sisterhood. It's that she's still there if I need her.
Yes.
She's the one person that I confided in.
Yes.
And it's almost like they feel like, well, can't really replicate that with someone else.
Yeah.
I found that beautiful friendship in her.
Yeah.
Yes, we dated as well.
Yeah.
But we also had that beautiful friendship. So I want to keep that beautiful friendship.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like they're still together, but just minus the intimacy.
Yeah.
Do you get it?
I do get it. I think personally, I can have love for an ex, but I wouldn't stay friends with them. And I agree. I'd be like,
me too.
I send you with love, but like we're not in each other's lives anymore.
Yeah. I feel like the lines get blurred when you're in each other's lives. Like, for example, I'll use Courtney and Scott as an example.
Oh, this is Courtney and Scott.
Kourtney Kardashian and Scott.
Oh, sorry. Okay, yeah.
I mean, they're still in each other's lives, but at some point she had to cut the cord because obviously she's with Travis now. But before that, the lines were getting so blurred with those two, and it caused a lot of issues for him and his relationships. She wasn't able to move on. So I do feel like there needs to be like just a line there, a line drawn with exes.
Yeah, and
it's hard when you're co-parenting because you kind of do, you know, some people do choose to like put on a happy front for their kids. Like I have a friend, she's co-parenting with her ex, and she tries to stay friendly with the guy, but it's awkward a little bit with them because obviously there was love there and they broke up like a year ago or something. So yeah, it's difficult.
Yeah, no, it is. It is.
I'd rather just cut the cord.
I completely agree. Yeah. And I think it's one of those things that the only way I feel you could be friends is once you're both past it. And you're both going to get past it at different points. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes, you know, somebody might have already been over it, which is why it's ended. They were over it during the relationship. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, they mentally checked out.
Right? Which is a lot of time what women will do. They'll check out first mentally and then they'll, do you know what I mean, say it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And so I think at that point, I think it's just to be fair to the other person, just in general. Do you know what I mean? Let me ask something. Oh, yeah. So I feel like I've been seeing this wave recently, slowly starting to build.
Okay.
Of women finding Christ. Like young women finding religion, finding God, finding this level of spiritual or religious guidance. Yeah. Have you seen this? Why do you think it's happening? Like, what's your take on that?
I have seen it, and I've seen it more so with women taking the route of celibacy.
Yes.
It's a big thing right now
Yes.
for women. Yeah. A lot of people that I speak to, a lot of women are saying they really love being celibate at the moment. I think it's more so, it's a form of protection. It really is a form of protection for women at the moment. I think women are just kind of getting really tired of just meeting the same type of guys, meeting the wrong type of guys, or the guy who pretended to be Prince Charming in the beginning and then suddenly just switched up and you're like, oh, hello, who are you?
Yeah, who's this? Yeah.
And it's like, you know, it's the inconsistency, it's the ghosting, it's the like, you know, because there's a big thing right now with like online dating, and women are saying that they feel like men are just kind of on the apps and they're not even turning up to the dates.
Really?
So they're not following up. So they're like giving it all the talk on the app, flirting, whatever. They ask the girl out for a drink or whatever, dinner, and on the day they don't turn up. Like there's so many like TikToks right now of like girls just complaining.
Just being stood up.
Yeah, being stood up, and you know they're putting the screenshot of the conversations between her and the guy, and the guy's just like, one guy was just like, oh sorry, I just woke up from a nap, you know. It's just things like that, and women are just sick and tired of it. So yeah, they are guarding themselves, and so they should, because why are you like opening yourself? Because I feel like, I know everybody's so different when it comes to intimacy and things like that. But personally with me, like I'm very like, I have traditional values. Like I would not be intimate with someone unless I saw that it was going to be marriage, and it was serious and it was like long term. So, and I really do feel like being intimate with someone is really not like a casual
it's not a small thing.
It's not. It's really not. Like that's something that you give to a person that you're going to marry, in my opinion. So a lot of women are going down that route now. They're like, no, I want to stay celibate until marriage.
So are they going down that route in a response to the current hookup culture?
Yes.
To protect themselves? Yeah,
because a lot of women have been scarred, unfortunately.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's so interesting because I know exactly, any guy watching this, I know exactly what they're going to be saying. They'll be like, well, that's because you all choose the same guy.
Yeah.
And there are so many guys out there who would love to, you know, get to know you, treat you well, all of this stuff. But then the irony is if they go down the celibacy route, I mean, it would only bring them to that kind of guy anyway. But then I don't know if that's the kind of guy that they'd be attracted to.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like it's more so women are taking charge now.
Sure.
And really setting boundaries, having high standards, having high requirements. It's kind of like they're saying, if you want to be with me, you've got to do this, 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 and then I will be intimate with you. It's kind of like, it's a new wave of women. It's called high value dating. It's called high value dating, and it's a big thing at the moment where women are kind of just seeing that they have given men a lot in the past, like, and probably got nothing. Like, how many women have wasted like 5-6 years playing wifey and never got the ring? Do you see what I mean? So it's things like that where they're like, no, you know what? I'm going to be celibate now until marriage, and I feel like it's I don't know, it's more just kind of like, as long as you're doing it because you truly want to do that, and it's what your gut and your heart is telling you. Like for me personally, I have strong morals. Yeah. So that's just like a given for me. Like I've always been like that from a very young age. So it's not like I've just started this new trend. I've always been this way in romantic relationships, and I'm always very honest with guys in the beginning, and I lay it out. I'm like, this is how I am. I have traditional values. I'm not going to sleep with you on the second date or the third date or the fourth date or the fifth date. So it's just something that's how I am. But a lot of women now are kind of putting it on. It is very kind of like, oh, well, I'm not going to sleep with him until like the 10th day, or like it's so, what's the word? It's
calculated.
It's so calculated these days, because we do have a lot of these kind of like dating experts, right? And some of them are great, don't get me wrong. But some of them are kind of like, especially on TikTok, they are just like saying anything.
Yes.
And so I feel like what I would say to women right now is do it because that's truly who you are as a person and it aligns with your values.
Yeah, not as a response
Yes.
because you've not been
Yes.
getting something.
Yes.
I agree.
Yeah, because then that can also come across as very kind of fake.
Yeah.
To someone.
But yes, but also, if I'm just being honest,
yeah,
I completely resonate with the approach of, okay, I'm only going to invest when I see it's reciprocal, but it has to be reciprocal.
Right.
She has to be wanting to, it can't just be, because when a woman goes, oh, well, if you want to get me, you have to do this, 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 and this.
Yeah.
All a guy hears is that A, you're either jaded, or B, that you're entitled.
Right. Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that a woman shouldn't have standards for who she would invest in, but it should be way more of an approach of, okay, this is what I look for and this is what I have to give.
Yeah.
And I think many people, and you said about the power dynamic, I think many people today, they all date in a way of, what can I get from you? It's not,
it's very
this
transactional.
is what I have to offer.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so I think when people generally operate from a place, it's like on a dating app, when a girl puts in her bio, no hookups, no one night stands, all you're telling me is that you've been burned before and you're not over it.
Yeah, it's not a good look. I don't like that either.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Keep that to yourself. And it's kind of the thing of like, how people are really like big on boundaries these days. Like, oh, I need to set boundaries. You set boundaries not by talking, by doing.
100%.
Because there's no point me sitting here telling you, oh, if you're rude to me right now, I'm going to walk out. But then you're rude to me and I go,
I told you I was going to walk out.
I will walk out. Like, just walk out.
100%.
And so I feel like with women, they're getting it wrong at the moment because yes, there is all this advice out there. High value dating, I'm kind of getting tired of that word now because we need something else to describe that.
Yes.
Dating, but having requirements maybe, or like having like just non-negotiables.
Yes.
I would say as a woman, you should always have non-negotiables. You should always have things that you're willing to put up with and things that you're not. And then there should always be a deal breaker for you. Like there's got to be something that you're like, no, I'm not going to accept that as a woman.
I agree. I think what's happening is that I separate between a high caliber man and a high quality man. A high caliber man refers to what he is: man of status, attractive, fitness, financial capability, all of that. A high quality man is how he shows up in his life. Yeah. Is he a man of his word? Yeah. Is he consistent?
Yes.
Does he have morals? Is he principled? Is he loyal to his family, his friends, and his woman? I think you can have a guy who's high caliber, but low quality.
Yeah.
Equally, you can have a guy who maybe isn't that high caliber, but very high quality. I think what's happened for a lot of women is they've been choosing based on the caliber, not on the quality. Yeah. And then what's happened is what they're getting tired of is they're tired of having low quality. So now they're saying, well, my standards, my high value dating is the quality has to be up here. It has to be principled, etc.
Yes.
But the issue is they're not adjusting the caliber of barrier to entry. So then what happens is they go, okay, well, I'm only going to give an opportunity for the guy who is 6 foot, 6 figures, all this, but I'm only going to give, like, when I give him the opportunity, I'm only going to give the investment when he demonstrates this crazy high quality.
Yeah.
And I agree in only giving the investment when he demonstrates a level of quality and character. But I think the barrier of entry for most women needs to be adjusted as well.
Right. Okay.
Because all that happens is that you end up not giving quality men the opportunity who you could have a great relationship with.
Yes. And you're meeting these kind of high value men,
right,
who perhaps have the money, they have the status, they got the looks, they got the flashy stuff.
Yep.
But then you're getting really disappointed by how he behaves.
By how he is with you.
And you're not content and you're not satisfied and then now you're looking for something else. So yes, I think because there's so much advice out there on how to get the high value man,
Very true.
places to go for women to attract the high value man. I feel like this is all very damaging in a way, because as someone who does go to a lot of high profile events, and I am in these kind of places a lot of the time, most of the time I do come across these typical high value men, but they lack so much when you actually, and I think we've spoken about this so many times, that like when you actually go on a date with these very highly successful men, CEOs, millionaires, billionaires, a lot of them lack what you're talking about, the quality.
The quality.
But then you could connect with another guy that is perhaps maybe not a millionaire, but he's still doing really well for himself.
100,000.
And he's like, you know, really killing it, big on self-improvement.
Yes. And
he does do all the other things. But because you're so wrapped up in that, I need a high value man, I need a high status man, I need this like guy, you're not giving a chance to those guys.
So for you then, because you've been single now, how have you been moving in terms of the guys you give opportunity to?
Yes. So I used to, well, I always come across those kind of guys that I told you, the ones who are kind of like very successful, money, all of that stuff. And I used to be like that before, like the girls, I'd be like, oh yes, I have a high value man. Finally, this is going to go great. What could go wrong?
Yes.
And then I meet this guy and I'm like, oh my God, he lacks so much depth. Like there's just no, like a lot of them just, because they have money, they don't, sounds really bad, but they lack social skills, like just basic social skills. It's just, because
he's not a man who has money is like a gorgeous woman. And like, if you're a guy who has a lot of money, you can get a lot of women purely based on that. So you're not required to develop certain character skills that are actually beneficial for a relationship. And if you're a really gorgeous girl, enough to the fact that you can attract guys who are successful and have money who want to splash on you, you can get that without the requirement to work on yourself in those areas as well. So 100%.
And I can say this without going into detail about the dates, but I can say when I look back on some of the dates that I've had, the worst ones have always been with the successful guys.
Interesting.
Yes. And I can really confidently say that.
And what is it?
I had a recent one, which was awful.
Okay. So don't say, you don't have to say his name, but what was it about that date that for you, you're like, awful. This is just not lining up? It was, and it was so awful. And obviously I'm fresh out of a relationship, like still kind of on my healing journey. That was the first like date that I'd had since my breakup. And it was so bad that it made me go back into my shell, because I was like, I'm done. I can't do this. I don't want to be out on the streets. This is scary. Like it was so bad. This guy lacked basic communication skills, decorum, like just etiquette. Like you're on a date. Why would you order 3 bottles of wine? Why would you go through 3 bottles of red wine by yourself when your date is by drinking yourself? Sparkling water? How do you do that? Yeah, that's a lot.
If you're loving this episode and these kinds of conversations, then I want to give you something. We recently launched the Kits Angels community. This is a sisterhood for women who are tired of what the dating scene has given them and are ready to take their love lives to the next level. It's a space for you as a woman to not be alone in your journey to love, where we learn, talk, and share our experiences as part of a strong sisterhood, with some leadership and guidance from yours truly, of course. Not to mention never before seen videos from me on how I've led dozens of women to meeting great men. And so as a thank you for watching this episode, I'm giving you a month's membership completely complimentary on me. Just click the Kits Angels link below, and when you join the group, message me the code phrase Angels Podcast and I will pay for your membership. Now back to the episode.
Okay, so now I have to ask you then.
Yeah.
What made you choose him in the first place?
This is a good question. So we met in a very affluent place. We met in Claridge's Hotel. I'm sitting there having afternoon tea with my friend, and he comes and approaches me.
Okay.
Now, straight away, as a woman who's looking for a higher value man, that setting tells you you're kind of already there.
Sure.
Because you're like, oh, he's sitting there. He looks very successful.
Mm-hmm.
He's by himself
Mm-hmm.
in a hotel bar. Maybe he's like about to go to a meeting or something. He looked quite busy. Like he was waiting for someone, or I don't know. And yeah, he approached me and I thought, well, okay, he's, a nice guy, seems cool. And then yeah, I accepted, he was like, oh, I'd like to take you out. And I was like, okay.
But why did you say yes? Was it because he was in that environment? So he was this quote unquote high value man?
Yes. If I'm honest, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it was because of that. I have to be real. It wasn't necessarily like an attraction, or it wasn't even like that, like, oh, you're very good looking. I didn't even feel that. It was more just kind of like, you seem like a very high value man and looks like you're about to go to a meeting or something. So this should be interesting.
Yeah.
And my friend thought the same thing as well. And it was funny because my friend had actually met her fiance, who she's recently got engaged to, in the same hotel bar.
She's like, girl, this is where you need to go to find your man.
So she was like, remember, she's like, I met my man here. I was like, well, okay. So it was all kind of like falling into place. I was like, okay, whatever. So anyway, I accepted and we started talking. He was very kind of like, I did think it was a bit weird. He wasn't communicating on text messages. So he would only text to be like, we're meeting at this time.
Oh, yeah.
So there was no, hi, lovely to meet you or anything. It was nothing like that. So I was like, okay.
Was he much older?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
And then also maybe a language barrier as well. He was from Kuwait.
Got you.
So I was like, maybe language barrier. I don't know. But anyway, yeah. So the date came. We went to 3 different places. The first place was like a members club we went to in London, which was really nice. We went there, had some drinks. And, he was like, oh, yeah, like, what would you like to drink? And I said, oh, I'm just going to have sparkling water because I don't drink. I'm not a drinker. So I said, I'll have sparkling water. And he was like, oh, do you mind if I have a bottle of wine? And I was like, no. I was like, go for it. I don't care. Don't judge anyone. I was happy with my sparkling water. He drank a whole bottle of wine by himself.
A whole bottle?
A whole bottle of red wine by himself.
That's intense. I'd be floored. I'll be honest. Because I don't drink either. So like, I'd be absolutely floored from one bottle.
It was mental. And then we went to the second location. We had dinner reservations. So we went to a really nice restaurant. Again, same thing. Another bottle of red wine. At this point, he's not talking.
Yes.
So he's forgotten that he's on a date. He's not talking. He's like in another world. He's like holding his stomach because red wine's very like thick and heavy.
Bloating, yeah.
So now he can't finish his food, but he's ordered so much food, not realizing because he's drunk.
Yeah.
Now he's forcing me to eat the food. And I'm constantly doing check-ins with him. I'm like,
are you okay?
Are you okay? Like, is everything okay? There was a couple that was next to us and they kept looking at me like, girl, are you okay?
Yeah.
Like, blink if you need help.
Blink twice.
Literally, I was like, this, and I felt so incredible. I've never felt that uncomfortable on a date with a man in my life. That's how bad it was. Like, he just was not talking. It was a mess. We then went to another place afterwards.
Yeah.
Same thing, another bottle of wine. So 3 bottles of wine. And then at this point, he's ordering tequila and shots and going crazy.
So
bizarre.
So I completely get that. But we literally said 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
About choosing a man for the right reasons.
Yeah.
Barrier to entry.
I thought this guy was going to be great. He seemed pretty normal.
But the reason you chose him was for this high valueness.
Yes. Yeah.
You didn't choose him because he demonstrated this quality of character.
Exactly.
When was the last time you chose a guy because of the quality of character who was not of a level of value?
Not really. The last person, I guess, that I was with, I kind of looked more at the qualities. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, as in the last person in your relationship with?
Yeah.
So when you've chosen for the qualities,
you
end up getting into a relationship with this guy.
Yeah.
And obviously you were together for 2 years. So like you said, like, sure, things ended, but you had a decent relationship to some degree. So, and when you've chosen based on the high valueness, you're like, this is lacking. He's not doing this and stuff. So
terrible.
So how are you going to move forward for yourself then? Because I think one thing we have to remember, of course, I'm going to be the last person to say that a guy shouldn't strive for greatness and that a woman shouldn't, that it's going to make him less attractive if he doesn't, right? I'm the last person to say that.
Yeah.
But we acclimatize to lifestyle.
Mm.
And so if you choose a guy based on the lifestyle that he can provide, once you've acclimatized to the lifestyle, which the more extravagant the lifestyle, maybe the longer it'll take to acclimatize, but within 6 to 12 months, you'll be used to it. You're only left with the character.
Yeah.
And if the character is lacking, doesn't matter how much money he makes, doesn't matter how many bags he buys you, how many cars or whatever, you're going to feel unfulfilled in your connection. And I say the exact same thing to guys who choose women purely based on how gorgeous she is.
Yeah, it's the same thing for men.
It's the same thing. Because this sounds really bad, but this is something that guys say amongst fellas. Especially when we say this to, like, it's often said to a guy who is like infatuated with one girl because to him, she's like the most gorgeous thing that's ever existed.
Yeah, I've seen guys get really like,
literally
she's like a queen.
Literally just like just
because of the
laser
looks.
focus, right?
Yes, I've seen that.
And it's like I said, it's what guys say in their circles, giving you some guy game. No matter how hot she is, how gorgeous she is, there is a guy out there who's tired of sleeping with her.
Tired of her shit. Yeah.
Like there's a guy out there who is so used to how gorgeous she is, right? And he's acclimatized to how beautiful and sexy she is.
Yeah.
That sleeping with her has lost her novelty. And if that is the only reason why you're choosing her, you will get to that point too. Everybody does.
That is absolutely true. Absolutely true. Because it's kind of like, as humans, and here's the thing, right? So, and this is really like philosophical.
Go on.
And we're getting really deep here, but
Go for it.
This is just how I think, right? I think that as humans, really and truly, we don't like attractive people. No, we don't. And hear me out, right?
Okay, I'm here for it. Go on.
As humans, when we are around attractive people, we may admire them, but deep down, there is this feeling of inadequacy.
In ourselves?
In ourselves. It highlights the things that are lacking in ourselves, right? And the reason why I say that is because I don't know if... You know, like in school, when there was like a really pretty girl, and like the girls would hate on her, and the guys wouldn't really approach her because she's too hot.
Yeah, they think they couldn't get her. Yeah.
So as humans, I really do think, and this is a thing, I think deep down we don't like it when someone's too perfect. We like it when someone has flaws. Of course, we have to be attracted to them.
Yes.
But we like it when they show that I'm also human and that I have things about me that make me a little bit like, it's kind of like when you see someone really good looking, like a celebrity, and then she's having a bad hair day, or she says, oh, I feel insecure. Oh, I have a spot today.
Yes.
You know, like Kendall Jenner has a spot or something.
Yes.
We love that because we don't like it when we're so perfect. And humans, we're like that. We don't like it when someone's so beautiful to the point where they're so polished and perfect. It's almost like we can't relate to them.
Yes, I hear that. Do you think that's very much the case with women? Because I don't often, when guys meet a guy who's like incredibly attractive, the guys want to latch onto him.
Yeah.
And the reason they want to latch onto him is because they're like, okay, how can I be more like him? And also, he's probably getting the results that I want. So guys are like, I want to latch onto him.
Yes.
Whereas sometimes when a woman is so gorgeous, other girls can hate her and they don't even know her.
Yes.
So is that, because I completely agree with you, but is it, have you found that more amongst women?
Yeah, 100%. I definitely more so with women. But I feel like with women, there's always this secret competition. Women are always secretly in competition with each other. And it upsets me a lot because I'm such a, I hate the word girls girl, but I'm very kind of like female empowerment. If I see a woman feeling insecure, I'll always like give her a compliment. Like I'll try and make her feel good.
Yeah.
And I really don't like this idea of like tearing another woman down to feel good about yourself.
I agree.
So, but unfortunately, that is how life is set up for women. It's all about who looks the best, you know, things like Victoria's Secret, the media always pinning women against each other. Unfortunately, it consumes us, and whether we like it or not, women are kind of secretly in competition with each other. It's about, oh, she lost weight, oh, she looks great, she just had a baby, now she's skinny, you know. And I do feel like the more beautiful you are, the more access you have to opportunities as a woman.
Oh, 100%.
Because pretty privilege is a thing, you know.
100%.
And women recognize that, and it makes them feel very insecure when they see a girl who does have pretty privilege.
So it's not even just it's not even just competing for guys, but it's also opportunity as well. That's so true, because even women prefer looking at attractive women than men. Like visually, like on screens.
Yeah. Actually, so women admire other women so much. Yes. Like when I see a beautiful girl, I'm like, wow. Like I'll stop her in the shop and say, you're beautiful. Wow. Because we admire that beauty so much.
Yeah. Because it's almost like a like, I guess maybe what a lot of women want to aspire to.
Yeah. And there's something also very kind of like surreal about a woman who looks so perfect. You're like, how do you look like that?
Explain yourself.
Are you real? Like you have glass skin? Like what?
Yeah. It's
it's like a fantasy, because every woman wants to look like that, right? Like every woman like dreams of having perfect skin, long shiny hair. Yeah. Like, but that's not the reality. Like everyone's different. Everyone comes in different shapes and sizes.
Yeah. How much do you think is how close a woman feels she is to that woman's beauty? How much do you think that correlates to whether she'll admire her or have disdain for her?
I will say a lot of it will be disdain.
Yeah. So like, a
lot of it will be jealousy and envy, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately, a lot of women are battling with themselves. A lot of women are at war with themselves, and they perhaps haven't done the work on themselves. They're not healed. They're not trying to heal. So those are the women that will hate on the pretty girl, the girl next door.
Yeah.
But for example, someone like me who's spent years doing work on myself, like I've gone through like a massive self-love journey, and I've put so much work into myself, because like I used to be so insecure when I was young. Like I was really tall. Right. So I was always the tallest in my class. I would always get put at the back with the boys, and I never felt feminine, and you know, I couldn't wear heels and things like that. So that was years of work for me that I had to finally kind of accept myself. And I would say probably around my sort of mid-20s, I really started embracing my height. And I was like, you know what? People pay money and buy 7-inch heels to have my height. And honestly, I'm sitting here hating myself for
100%.
It. So
all the best models are tall. What do you mean?
Yeah. And then I started meeting men, and they were like, oh, I love tall women. And I was like, oh, you know, it was this moment to me that was like, okay, why have I spent all these years hating who I am when God has made me just the way
you're meant to be.
I'm meant to be.
100%.
Like, and so, but that takes so much work, and a lot of women are not willing to do that. They don't want to go through that. They don't want to have to face like those parts of themselves. Like, oh, why do I feel insecure? Why am I hating on another woman? So they'd rather just project their insecurities on someone. It's just easier.
100%. 100%. So 100% in terms of you've been working on your healing, you know, journey and stuff like that. So for you, even though I know you ended things and justifiable reasons for you, like, you know, he's not a bad person, but, you know, just wasn't matched up for what you wanted for your future. Yeah. How would you say you contributed to a relationship ending?
Like as in?
Like, even though maybe it was on him for you, what work are you doing now to show up? How did you not show up in that relationship that you're going to for your future one? Yeah.
So after that relationship ended, I did a lot, and I still am. Like still am. It's ongoing. It's every day. Yeah. I'm doing so much self-reflection, and so many things are coming up for me now that I didn't realize when I was in a relationship. Yeah. And I'm so self-aware that it is really scary.
Okay, yes.
But I love that because it means I'm on the right track.
You're on the right track. 100%.
Yes. But things like being very kind of not communicating my needs, or not expressing myself, not being vocal in that relationship.
Right.
Those are now things that I'm working on currently.
Okay.
So instead of just facing a problem there and then, I chose to maybe like block the person, run away.
Sure.
And I ran away from my feelings a lot. I ran away from conflict. I don't like conflict. I don't like confrontation. So I would just like block and run away.
Right.
And then that person would be chasing me, and that would put them through a lot of, you know, pain and reaching out. And obviously people have different attachment styles.
Very true.
So I've recently found out that mine is a fearful avoidant.
Interesting. Okay.
And so the person that I was with had an anxious attachment style.
That's how those match up, right?
Yes. And I realized that everything that I was doing was not helping that person's attachment style.
Yes.
But then also that person wasn't helping themselves.
Yes.
Because they were always relying on me to soothe them.
To soothe their insecurity. 100%.
So yeah, it's so many things that now I like look back on and I'm like, okay, well, I need to start being more expressive. I need to communicate my needs more. I need to stop running away from problems. Actually, like if something annoys me in the moment, say it there and then, rather than sitting there and letting it brew and then having a massive late reaction, like randomly during a conversation or dinner, and just
because they're like, really where did this come from? And then you're just like, you should know.
But it's like been pent up inside me, right?
100%.
And because it takes so much courage for someone like me, I would hide it because I'm an avoidant. So yeah, there's a lot. And I feel like now going forward, when I do finally settle down and meet someone one day, hopefully, I feel like I am taking active steps now to becoming more secure. I want to be in a more secure attachment style now, rather than being a fearful avoidant. I want to be working towards being secure. And that
100%.
is really hard for someone, you know, I have all kinds of things. I have like childhood trauma, things like that. A lot of this plays a big part in how I show up in relationships. And it's stuff that I'm getting help for. And, you know, I don't want to get into a relationship until I don't want to say healed, because there's no such thing. Like,
it's constant work. It's this journey of life, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also like I'm deserving of love. We all are, right?
Yeah.
So we shouldn't think that just because there's parts of us that we still need to heal, that we shouldn't be in a relationship. No, we can heal in a relationship. It's just about being with the right person.
Yeah. Do you think you could be with someone who holds you accountable for when you're being avoidant? Or do you think...
I think I need that.
Yeah.
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 But here's the thing. I need that, but I need it in a way where, because in the past I had someone holding me accountable, but it was more kind of like demanding a response from me because that person's so anxious. And to them, they're in like that fearful state of like, oh my God, she's about to abandon me.
Yes.
Answer the phone, answer me. And that for an avoidant is so heavy.
It's so claustrophobic.
So heavy. We run, we can't handle it.
Yeah.
Like, and that used to happen a lot. Right. And that was very suffocating. So I would need someone who's also not an avoidant, but has a more secure attachment style and has strong boundaries.
Yes. Very
so
true.
I know that they're going to question me, and I know that they're not going to let things slide. But they're not going to do it in a forceful way.
Yes. It's still coming from a place of
where they value
love.
Themselves as well. I need to see that, because I've noticed that is really what I'm looking for. I need to see that you value yourself. And I think, you know, I spoke to a psychologist recently who said to me, the reason why you want that is because, she said something along the lines of, because you see so much value in yourself that you want that mirrored. So you also want a partner who sees so much value in themselves.
Yes.
But for some reason in the past, I was always attracting people who were very damaged, who were not healing, who were jaded.
Yes.
And was dealing with all these unprocessed emotions.
Yeah.
And so they would come at me in this way of like, soothe my insecurities.
Yes.
But as an avoidant, I can't deal with that. That's heavy.
That's too much.
So I need a man that's secure, not a pushover, but also like is able to hold space for me.
Of course.
So not like aggressive with it.
Yes.
Not like isn't quick to shut me down, but is more kind of like patient, but has his boundaries. And if it becomes too much, he'll always walk away.
Yes. Yeah. 100%.
That's when I would respect the guy.
I completely agree. And I think there's so much substance in a relationship when you have someone who can hold you but scold you with love. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I don't want to say scold because that sounds very patronizing, but it is someone who can tell you no.
Yeah.
Like
check me.
What you're doing is not okay for our relationship.
Yeah.
And it's because they see value in you and they say they have a high standard for you. This like you're reaching below what you're actually worth. And it's like, but also it's important. It's not patronizing when he or she applies that to himself as well. When he goes, right, I see that we operated this way and that was below what we're actually worth. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's when you know the person can do that for themselves, that's when you know that at least everything they say to you comes from a place of love. Yeah. Ideally, you know? Yeah. Even if sometimes it's not easy.
Yeah, exactly. And also I'm seeing that person has self-awareness, which is a thing that a lot of people right now are really lacking. And I would even say it's one of the reasons why a lot of people are not in relationships. Like the fact that you're not self-aware is crazy. Like what do you do with yourself? Like do you not work on yourself? Like a lot of people don't work on themselves. They don't understand their triggers.
Yes.
Like what are my triggers? Where are they coming from?
Yes.
Because these things show up in a relationship and they get magnified when you're with someone. 100%. They come to the surface.
Yes.
And so I found in the past when I was attracting these jaded people, it was almost like they had a mask on and they don't want to take the mask off.
Yes.
And they convince themselves that they are healed and they are good. Those are the scariest people.
Yeah. Because
they're so deep in denial and they've pushed down everything that I don't even know like what could get those things back up. They would need professional help.
Yeah. But also as well, part of the reason why they keep the mask up is because if the mask has helped them get what they want, they're afraid that they won't be accepted for who they truly are.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know, when this comes to why do guys pretend to be something they're not? A lot of it can be because they think, okay, well, me being this tall, attractive guy who loves to spend money on a girl is what's worked. And me caring less is what's worked before in making the women who are operating from a broken space, because when you're operating from a healthy space, somebody treating you well makes them more attracted to you.
Right.
Like, as in that makes them more attractive to you. So when someone treats you well, you should be more drawn to them, not less.
Yes.
But often, a lot of the time, some people are like, oh, they're not treating me right? That makes me want to chase more. And it's like, you're not operating from a healthy space. Because when someone doesn't treat you that right, you go, I'm not attracted to that energy.
Yeah.
I want the energy that's going to treat me well. So if guys have used a mask that attracts the gorgeous girl, but who may be operating from an unhealthy place, he's afraid that if I remove the mask and actually just show up in dating who I am, that he won't be accepted.
Yeah.
And one thing for guys as well, because it's very difficult for men to get to a point where he can attract multiple women, most guys never make it there. They never either grow in the areas in themselves to make it there. They never figure it out.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Once they figure it out to get there, it's like, they hold on to that so hard.
Yes.
It's such a clutch for them, because it's like, it took me years to get to a point where I can attract these women, and if this is the way I have to, if this is the way I can do it, like I'm staying here. Because me not doing this means I get nothing.
But then the healed woman, the grown woman, the woman who's been working on herself comes along.
Doesn't work.
And she sees right through you.
100%.
and she's like, this doesn't work for me. Are you going to be
100%.
authentic, or I'm going to walk out the door?
100%.
But then what happens is he's so far gone that he's pushed all of that down so much that he perhaps isn't willing to go there.
Yeah, he's scared.
He isn't willing to go there, and then that's when it doesn't work. So I had a situation like that not long ago with someone, and it was literally what we're describing now. It was like something, and I've got a question for you actually.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, I'll ask you the question first, and then we'll give you the background.
Okay.
So, why do men do this thing, right? And I get you guys are very kind of, what's the word? You're expected to deal with a lot as men, right?
Yes.
And it's like you
shoulder a lot of burdens.
Yes.
And responsibility.
And this is how you provide value in society, I guess, as men, right?
Yes.
But why is it when something goes wrong in your life, and perhaps you're at that stage where you're kind of talking to a girl, getting to know her, talking stage, whatever, and something goes wrong in your life, right? And we're talking financial issues, hardships as a man. Why do you guys shut down, not communicate with the girl what's going on, put on this front, and then act like you've created intentional distance? Like, you know what I'm talking about. And then it's like, oh, no, well, what are you talking about, babe? I've been here all the time. I didn't go anywhere. Sorry, sir.
Yes.
You definitely did leave. There is a disconnect.
Yes.
You've walked out the door.
Yes.
So now you need to explain what the hell is going on. But a lot of men, like I said, don't want to go there. It's probably out of embarrassment, out of shame. You probably feel like you don't want to come across as weak. So you never reveal the problems. But here's the problem with that. That girl is now unsure of what's happening, why there's a disconnect.
Very true.
Why you've detached, why you've pulled your energy back. She's now in a bit of a danger zone because she feels like you're inconsistent and you're emotionally unavailable.
Yes.
So you're sabotaging.
I get you. So
why do you men sabotage when things are going wrong in your life?
I get you. 100%. I get you. So let's talk about the financial thing, right? You literally said about you were with your friend that you were having afternoon tea with. You're like, this is the place to meet high value men, blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
If a man believes part of the reason you have selected him is for his financial capabilities, and if he wants you, he would rather distance himself to whether he can now and keep you in the dark, where he can sort that out, and then
that's when you drop the breadcrumbs as well,
right?
Here and there.
Rather than him disclose that to you,
right?
And then you reject him.
So it's a thing within yourself that something is telling you the girl may not like you now because you don't have money.
It's
is
about
that what your
being,
brain
of
is telling
course,
you?
it's about being accepted.
Right.
I'm going to be honest, right? The fantasy that every young boy has been told,
right,
is that a woman will choose him for who he is.
Okay.
And then he gets into the real world, and then he sees, observes, and learns that that's not true. Sorry, it's not true. Not that who he is isn't important, but it's that the truth is, because there's a level of vulnerability that a woman has in herself that a lot of women feel they need, they want to feel safe and they want to feel secure, whether that's physically, emotionally, financially. For her to choose you as her partner, to play the position of the man in her life, there is tangible value you have to bring.
Yeah.
And for a lot of guys, that is a very difficult pill to swallow, because we've been told we'll be chosen for who we are. And unfortunately, we may even be chosen in the relationship for who we are, but we will not be given the opportunity just because of who we are.
Right.
We get the opportunity because of what we are. We get the relationship because of who we are. But we can't get the relationship if we don't get the opportunity.
Right. So it's really about what can you bring to that girl's life?
It's if she is giving me the opportunity because I tick X, Y, and Z metrics, and I'm starting to lack in the X metric, and I'm not in the relationship yet where she can choose me for who I am, of course I'm not telling you that.
Right.
I don't feel I can tell you that.
So it's all part of the image. You've got to keep that image there.
It's more about...
Because that, and let me tell you something.
Go for it.
So hearing what you're saying from a woman who is healed and is very kind of grown and has worked on herself, and I would like to think I'm coming from a healthy feminine energy.
Yes.
Or working towards it. That sounds like you're not being authentic.
I agree.
And that raises alarm bells for me.
So what I would say,
especially if I'm looking for a husband, which I am,
sure,
that would make me run, which it did.
Sure. So what I would say is this. There is a level of vulnerability where trust has to be earned. Mm-hmm. If it's really early stages and there's something going on with him that is actually quite vulnerable for him, he may not tell you, and you're not entitled to know.
Yeah.
No one is, right? Even though you may be dating, it's early days, you're not entitled to know.
Yeah.
But I agree, he should communicate, being like, hey, I've just got something going on right now. I'm dealing with some personal stuff, right? Something I'm just not comfortable sharing. That's why it seems I've been a bit distant, right?
Yeah.
Now, here's what I would say as a woman. If you're in a situation where you suspect that's happening, that maybe something's going on with the guy, he's starting to pull back, etc., and he's kind of being hot and cold. So it's like he wants to be here, but then he doesn't, etc. Ask him, how are you feeling?
Yeah, I did do that.
Men are very seldomly asked, how do you feel? Because the response we get is, why aren't you showing up for me? The response is, why are you not giving me what I want? Instead of being like, help me understand where you are right now. Because that is then, as the woman, that's going to tell you why he's not doing those things. You focus on the symptom, not the cause. And you have to look at the cause. And when you ask him, how do you feel and why? That's when you go back.
But he needs to be, what you just described there, he needs to be able to get to that place.
What place?
That place where he can actually open up and say, yes, there is a problem. And the problem is a lot of men can't even get to that place where he says, yes, there is a disconnect.
So what I would say...
He's too, no, everything's fine. There's no disconnect. Everything's good.
So I agree that it is on the guy in this scenario. It's on him to have the level of emotional maturity and openness to be like, I've got something going on. Yeah. That's why I'm not showing up the way I usually do. Yeah. 100%. But in terms of saying what is going on or why he's not showing up, right? If he doesn't have a level of trust built with your relationship with him where he feels he can share that level of vulnerability with you, then that just means you have to be patient as the woman.
Okay.
Because guys have to be patient with the physical intimacy.
Right.
Believe you me, guys are ready to sleep with a girl within the first 10 minutes of meeting her.
Oh, great.
Right? If he looks, he goes, she's attractive, I would sleep with her right now.
Right.
But we know you have to feel safe and secure and get to know us to a point that you feel you can be vulnerable with us. Because when you're being physically intimate as a woman, you are being vulnerable.
Yeah.
You're being, one of my close female friends said this to me 2 years ago, and I was like, it really helped me understand what it's like as a woman who's attracted to men. She's like, imagine being super attracted and drawn to the very thing that is most likely to kill you. And I was like, rah, that dynamic that women deal with, I'm like,
yeah, because they just have so much more to lose.
100%, because like you enter a space with a guy, 9 times out of 10, he's probably going to be bigger than you, stronger than you. If he wanted to dominate you physically, there's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you want to enter that space.
Yeah.
So of course it's important if you're going to be physical with him that there's a level of rapport where you can trust him.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's so hard to find someone that you can trust these days. So.
But for a guy emotionally, it's the same thing. He has to build that with you to a point he can trust you and be vulnerable with you.
Right. I think that's really interesting. I want to sort of just circle back to what we were saying about, you said that if there's not really that level of trust, and we're still kind of getting to know each other, that really we don't need to know what's going on in his life. He doesn't need to disclose that information.
He's not obliged to. No.
Yeah, he doesn't have to. Yeah.
Sure.
I get that. But here's my take on this, and tell me what you think. Because I believe that if a man is fully in his like healthy masculine, is actively looking for something serious, finds a girl that he thinks, wow, she really ticks my boxes, surely he wouldn't want her to be having any doubts. He would want her to know that he's all in because he wouldn't want even the smallest thing to put her off.
So I get you.
So then I would say that type of guy is probably not available emotionally.
So what I would say is this. If he says to her that I've got something going on, that's why I'm not showing up in that way. And if she then starts to question, if she doesn't believe him, right? Because what he's saying is, it's not that I don't care about you. It's not that I don't have intention with you. I just have something going on, which is preventing me from showing up the way I want to. But maybe he doesn't want to disclose that, right? In which he doesn't have to. If she then takes that as, okay, I'm not really sure if he's not into me, if he's into me, I'm not really sure if he's all in. I don't know if he's actually real about his intention.
Okay.
That means that she's not secure.
Right.
Because that doesn't mean that she's believing what he's saying and is taking what she's saying.
And that could be past trauma that's playing up for her.
Maybe,
where she's like
a level of insecurity of abandonment or whatever. So
that's true. Yeah.
I agree, a guy should disclose that.
Yeah.
But if she takes that as, okay, well, maybe he's not really into it and she has no reason to not believe him, that's coming from an insecurity. That's not in him, that's on her.
I agree with that, actually.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Sukaina, we're going to wrap it there because, we can always chat for hours. We can chat for hours. We'll get you back on again. If people want to find you, where can they find you?
Yes, you can find me on Instagram, Sukaina TV, TikTok, Sukaina Louisa, and I'm on YouTube as well.
We love it, 100%. And she's been doing TikTok live, guys. So if you follow her on TikTok,
come and say hello
check
to
out her
me
live.
on
She was telling us she was doing 5-hour lives. God damn, putting in the work. We respect it. But thank you for sharing your energy with us.
Thank you so much
We
for having
appreciate
me.
As
Thank
always.
you.
Guys, go give her some love, give her a follow, give her a like, check her out, all that good stuff. And I will see you in the next episode.
Yeah.